The man who found himself. In a small town in northern England lived a man named Elliot Graham. To outsiders, Elliot was just an ordinary man in his 30s who worked at a hardware store. But inside, he was a storm of unanswered questions. Since childhood, he had felt like he didn't quite belong, not in school, not in social circles, not even in his own family. He wasn't rebellious, just lost. His father, Thomas, was a former soldier who valued discipline and predictability. His mother, Ruth, a kind yet traditional woman, wanted her son to become a banker or an engineer, something stable. But Elliot wasn't drawn to numbers or systems. He was drawn to people, to emotions, to stories. He wrote poems in secret, painted landscapes in a small attic room, and often found himself staring into the sky, wondering who he truly was. At age 25, Elliot tried to fit in. He worked 9 to 5, wore suits that didn't suit him, laughed at jokes he didn't find funny, but each day drained him more than the last. He was becoming a stranger to himself. One evening, after another soul-numbing day, he took a long walk along the coast. The sky was painted in shades of gold and blue, the wine sharp yet cleansing. That night, something broke inside him, not in a destructive way, but like a shell finally cracking open. He sat on a rock, watching the horizon, and whispered, "I don't want to pretend anymore." From that moment, Elliot began a quiet revolution. He resigned from his job, sold most of his belongings, and traveled across the UK by train. In Liverpool, he volunteered at a youth center. In Edinburgh, he lived in a shared artists' commune and sold his paintings. In Cornwall, he met elderly fishermen who told him stories that filled his journals. Slowly, Elliot rediscovered the parts of himself he had hidden. The poet, the listener, the soul searcher. He wasn't chasing fame or money, he was chasing truth. And in doing so, he found peace. Years later, he published a book of poetry titled Wines and Whispers. It wasn't a bestseller, but it touched lives. People who felt lost found comfort in his words. Elliot was invited to speak at schools, libraries, even prisons, not as a celebrity, but as someone who had dared to be himself. One student asked him, "Sir, how did you know what to do with your life?" He smiled and said, "I didn't. I just stopped being who I wasn't." Elliot Graham never became rich, but he became whole. He proved that success isn't about climbing ladders others build for you, but about building your own path even if it leads into the unknown.